There's a moment, a stillness, when your gut knows before your mind has the nerve to catch up. It's not a scream. It's not a sign. It's a chill. Just a quiet, cold shift inside you that says, something's wrong here. I came home early. Meeting got canned, rain was on the way, figured I'd beat traffic and surprise her with lunch. I even picked up her favorite salad, the one she pretended to hate but always ate first. When I opened the door, the house felt off. Not messy. Not loud. Just wrong. The kind of wrong you don't see, you feel. The first thing I noticed was her robe. My gift from last Christmas. It was draped over the stair railing, like someone had walked out of it mid-step. One heel sat crooked by the wall. Her purse had spilled on the floor. Not dropped. Tossed. I moved upstairs quietly, like a man who already knew too much. Our bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open and found her lying on the bed, completely naked. Her back to me. Hair messy, skin flushed, the sheets tangled beneath her like waves. She wasn't asleep. Just resting. And smiling. "You're home early," she said without turning. Her voice was slow. Satisfied. Not surprised. I scanned the room. 2 glasses on the nightstand. A crumpled men's t-shirt on the chair. And a pair of boxers on the floor. Not mine. She stretched, lazy, casual, like nothing in the world was broken. "Shower's still warm," she added, then rolled onto her back. Still didn't look at me. Still smiling. I backed out. Walked down the hallway to my son's room. His door was half open. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, damp hair sticking to his forehead. A towel around his waist. Shirtless. Silent. He didn't move when I stepped in. Didn't speak. He just looked up at me. And in that one look, I saw everything I needed to know. I didn't say a word. Not to him. Not to her. I walked back downstairs like my legs were borrowed from someone else. My feet didn't touch the floor. My hands felt numb. I was floating. Lightheaded. Empty. Like a man who just watched his house burn down and was still too calm. The salad was still on the counter. I stared at it for a second, then dropped it in the trash box, dressing, plastic fork and all. Then I opened the fridge, grabbed a beer, and sat at the kitchen table. The same one where we used to have breakfast. The same one where, not so long ago, she sat across from me and asked if I thought we were still connecting. She used that word. Connecting. Like we were cell phones instead of people. I sat there and listened. Upstairs. 2 sets of footsteps. Doors closing. Running water. They're panicking. I took a long drink and waited. She came down first. Fresh robe. Wet hair. Acting like it was laundry day and not the apocalypse. She moved like nothing had happened. Like nothing was still happening in my head. "You're home early," she said again, like a line from a bad play. "Everything okay?" I looked at her. Really looked. Her lips still swollen. A faint red mark on her neck. She didn't even bother with perfume. Didn't think she needed to. "Fine," I said. "Just hungry." She blinked. The tiniest crack. Then came my son. Dressed now, quiet, eyes on the floor. Like a prisoner brought in for sentencing. I didn't look at him. Not yet. I was afraid of what I'd do. "Hey, Dad," he mumbled. I nodded. Said nothing. We stood there, 3 actors on a stage with no lines. Just tension. Just history. Just shame. "I'm gonna head out," she said suddenly. "Groceries." I didn't stop her. Didn't nod. Just watched her leave. When the door clicked shut, the silence swallowed everything. My son hovered by the doorway, 1 foot still behind him, like he wasn't sure if he should run or kneel. "It just happened," he finally said. Voice barely above a whisper. I closed my eyes. Of course he'd say that. It just happened. So does cancer. So does war. So do accidents that change your life forever. I stood up. Slowly. Walked to the sink. Rinsed out my beer bottle. Placed it gently in the recycling bin. Then I turned and looked at him. You have one day, I said. To pack. To leave. To disappear. He opened his mouth. I raised a hand. You don't speak. Not to me. Not again. He froze. Nodded once. I turned my back to him and walked out to the porch. Lit a cigarette I hadn't touched in 4 years. The air was sharp. The sky still gray. The world still spinning. But I wasn't in it. Not anymore. He was gone by morning. No note. No goodbye. Just the thud of the front door sometime around 6 a.m., a quiet drag of suitcase wheels across the floor, and the hiss of a car pulling out of the driveway. I stood in the kitchen, sipping burnt coffee, staring out the window like I expected the sunrise to explain something. But the sun doesn't care about betrayal. It just rises. She came back 2 hours later, holding a grocery bag she never meant to fill. Hair down. Glassy-eyed. I didn't look at her. Not until she spoke. Where is he? Gone. She set the bag down, careful this time. Like the silence might break if she moved too fast. You kicked him out. I looked at her now. Really looked. Makeup smudged. A small cut on her shoulder, nail scrape maybe. No ring. What did you expect me to do? Invite him down for eggs? She blinked. And then, for the first time, she looked unsure. It wasn't supposed to. Don't. Finish that. She paused. Sighed. Do you want me to leave too? I didn't answer. Not yet. We stood there, two strangers in a house full of memories. The coffee turned cold in my hand. Why him? I asked finally. Of all people. She shook her head. Tears welled but didn't fall. Not yet. He saw me. You haven't looked at me in years. Not really. I laughed. Short, bitter. I looked. I just didn't recognize what you'd become. She sat down. Quiet. For once. It wasn't about sex, she said. Not really. I stared at her. Don't you dare try to dress this up as love. It was confusion. It was need. It was disgusting. And with that, she shut up. We didn't speak for the rest of the day. She stayed in the guest room. I stayed in my skin, crawling. That night I opened the closet and pulled down a box I hadn't touched in years. Inside, wedding photos, anniversary cards, ticket stubs from when we were still happy. I took it all out back and lit a match. She watched from the upstairs window. Didn't say a word. Didn't stop me. And for the first time since it happened, I felt clean. The morning after the fire, I stood in the backyard, staring at the blackened circle where our memories had turned to ash. Bits of a photo floated up on the breeze, half a smile, a burned edge of a concert ticket. She watched from the window but didn't come down. That suited me fine. I made coffee. Burnt my tongue on the first sip. Didn't care. I took out a yellow legal pad and started a list. Not of groceries. Not errands. An inventory. What I owned. What she used. What we shared. What she'd never touch again. Living room. The couch? Mine. Paid in cash from a bonus check. The throw pillows? Hers. Decorative nonsense. TV? Mine. Subscription accounts? Joint. Passwords, mine. I changed them all by noon. Bedroom. Mattress, hers. Sheets, hers. Dresser, split. Closet, shared. I boxed up my clothes, moved them to the guest room. Quietly. No scenes. Just folded shirts, zippered hoodies, drawers emptied like a man preparing for a storm. Bathroom. Half the space cluttered with her lotions, serums, strange little jars with gold lids and French names. I packed them into a box, set it outside her door. No note. She didn't ask? That night, I logged into our accounts. Bank. Utilities. Subscriptions. Anything with both names got cut down the middle. I opened a new checking account. Transferred half. Legal. Quiet. Unapologetic. Like surgery. The next morning, I saw her in the backyard again. Watering roses. Her movements were soft, like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't cracked the house in half. She wore leggings and an old hoodie of mine. That stung more than I expected. I stepped outside. She looked up. What now? Nothing, I said. Just wanted to see what betrayal looks like in sunlight. She held my stare for a second, then turned back to her roses. Inside, I sorted through papers. Tax returns? Mortgage statements. Insurance policies. She hadn't touched a single bill in 3 years. Didn't know the Wi-Fi password. Didn't know the name of the plumber. But she knew which wine paired with lamb. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer. A quiet office above a bakery. Smelled like sugar cookies and endings. You sure about this? He asked, looking through the documents. Dead sure. You've got grounds. And leverage. I don't want leverage, I said. I want distance. He nodded slowly. Then we'll go clean. No courtroom drama. Just facts. I'll draft a petition and call her attorney. She doesn't have one. Yet. She will. I got home and found her in the laundry room. Folding towels. The white ones she liked. She glanced at me but said nothing. I passed her without a word, walked into the kitchen, and started dinner. She didn't eat. Just sat on the couch, scrolling her phone. Or pretending to. That night, I moved officially into the guest room. Shut the door. Took my time. She didn't knock. Didn't ask why. Because she already knew. And maybe that's what got to me most. Not the silence. But how comfortable she was in it. We didn't fight. Didn't cry. Just moved like two ghosts pretending the house was still home. I could feel her drifting farther every day. Or maybe it was me. The night ended with me staring at the ceiling, wondering when I stopped being angry. Because now I was just done. I hadn't planned to come back early that day. Fridays were always long, paperwork, late clients, small talk with people who smelled like sawdust and stress. But something told me to wrap up, grab a sandwich, and drive. Not home. Not right away. I parked 3 blocks over and waited. It was 3:17 p.m. Clouds were building. The kind of clouds that hold a storm and a secret. I sipped lukewarm coffee and stared at my front door. Nothing. Just stillness. But then at 3:24, movement. A car I didn't recognize, charcoal gray, foreign, newer than anything I'd ever driven. It pulled into the driveway like it belonged there. And out stepped my son. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. He wore a t-shirt I hadn't seen before, something tight and clean. His hair was too perfect. In his hand, a tote bag. Casual. Comfortable. Confident. He rang the doorbell, waited half a second, and she opened. She didn't check the street. Didn't glance over her shoulder. Just pulled him in by the shirt, quick and quiet. Like it wasn't new. Like it wasn't wrong. The door closed. I counted to 60. Then I started the car. Drove slowly. Deliberately. I didn't honk. Didn't storm in. I unlocked the door like I always had, stepped inside, and took off my shoes. Their voices floated down the stairs. Low. Warm. Laughing. I walked to the kitchen, set down my keys, and moved toward the stairs like I was headed to fold laundry or check the thermostat. I didn't run. Didn't shout. Upstairs, the bedroom door was cracked. I saw her first. On the bed. On her knees. Shirtless. Her hair was loose, spilling over her shoulders. Her skin flushed. She leaned into him, whispering something I couldn't hear. But her hand was on his chest. Sliding lower. His back was to me. He didn't see. But she did. Her eyes locked on mine, wide for a second, then cold. She didn't scream. She didn't cover up. She smiled. A slow, venomous smile. "You're early again," she said. He turned. Froze. And for a second, I saw the boy I used to teach to ride a bike. The one who scraped his knees and cried in my arms. But that second passed. Because that boy was gone. "Out," I said. He moved. Fast. Grabbed his shirt. Didn't look at me. She stayed where she was. Still half naked. Still grinning. "He came back to talk," she said. "We were talking." I nodded. Then I picked up the camera from my pocket. Small. Discreet. Enough. Her face dropped. I didn't say a word. Just turned and walked out. Down the stairs. Out the door. The rain had started. Let it wash everything. I didn't sleep that night. The rain had come and gone, leaving the windows streaked and the street outside washed clean. I sat in the living room with the camera on the table, replaying the moment over and over in my mind. Her look, his panic, that smirk she gave me like I was the one who'd walked in on their home. I didn't need the footage. Not really. I already knew. But having it, knowing it existed real, on record, was power. Not the kind you use to destroy. The kind you keep in your pocket while people lie to your face. She didn't come out of the bedroom that night. I heard the door click shut, and that was it. No footsteps. No apology. Just the silence of a woman who believed she still had options. By morning I had a plan. I brewed coffee, took a long shower, dressed with more care than usual. Not for her. Not even for me. For control. For order. For the simple act of choosing what happens next. She came down around 10. Hair tied, robe wrapped, eyes hollow. "So," she started, arms crossed, leaning on the fridge like we were about to argue over groceries. I didn't look at her. Just sipped my coffee and waited. "What now?" she asked. "Nothing," I said. "For now." "You filmed us." "I did." "That's illegal." "Not in my house." She went quiet. "Good. Because I wasn't done." "I want you gone," I said. "By the end of the week." She blinked. Opened her mouth. Closed it. "You don't have the right." "I do. It's my house. Bought it 5 years before we married. You signed the prenup. You never paid a mortgage payment. Not one." She sat down slowly. Like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. "You're serious?" "Dead. And if I refuse? Then your job gets an anonymous package. So does your mother. So does every holiday photo group chat where you pretend to be someone worth admiring." Her jaw clenched. "You're blackmailing me." "No," I said calmly. "I'm freeing you. From pretending." She didn't cry. Not yet. Maybe later. Maybe when she was packing up the last of her things and realized the rug under her life had already been pulled. I spent the day emailing my lawyer. Updating my bank access. Documenting. Organizing. By evening, she hadn't moved. Still in the kitchen. Still silent. Like maybe if she sat still enough, none of it would be real. But it was. And I was wide awake. That night, I slept in my new room, the guest room that had become sanctuary. I locked the door. Not because I feared her. Because I didn't trust what silence might push her to do. And in that silence, I heard her crying. Finally. It didn't feel good. But it felt fair. She left on a Wednesday. Midday. No goodbye. Just the sound of wheels dragging across hardwood, a few slaps of tape on cardboard, the distant hiss of her car starting in the driveway. I didn't go to the window. I didn't need to. I knew she was gone because the house exhaled. It felt lighter. Not healed, no, far from it, but aired out. Like someone had opened every door and let the poison drift into the wind. She left behind 3 coffee mugs, a half-dead plant, and her wedding dress in the back of the hall closet. I didn't touch it. Just closed the door slowly and let it rest there like a ghost. There was no ceremony. No final confrontation. We didn't hug. Didn't even look each other in the eye. The last thing she said was, "I hope someday you understand." And I said, "I already do." Because I did. Understanding doesn't mean forgiving. It doesn't mean forgetting. It just means you've seen the full picture and decided you're done staring at it. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Told him she was gone. Told him to finalize everything. I signed the paperwork the next day. He offered to send it to her. I told him to burn a copy for me. Just for the smell. That weekend, I painted the bedroom. Took down every frame. Boxed the photos. Changed the locks. Not because I thought she'd come back. But because I needed it to be mine again. Not ours. Just mine. I walked through every room. Slowly. Made peace with the corners I used to avoid. Let myself remember. Then let myself forget. 1 week later, I saw her car outside a grocery store across town. She was alone. Different. Smaller. She didn't see me. I stayed in the truck and watched her disappear behind the sliding doors. Not out of pain. Out of peace. Because I didn't hate her. Not anymore. Hate is something you give to people who still matter. And she didn't. Not really. I drove home. Windows down. Music loud. Sun warm on my face. And for the first time in what felt like years, I remembered who I was before her. Before the silence. Before the table. And I smiled. Because I was still here. And I wasn't done yet.